As you can see, it's a bit of a weapon, it's a bit of a beast. I'm really looking forward to diving into its actual issues that it has right now. So before we start today's video, I want to give a huge shout out to Joseph from Brown Fox Media House, who gave me a hand to piece together this new intro. So I hope you like it, and I'm sure you're going to see more of his work coming up soon. Just to let you know, the beginning of this video was shot quite a while ago, so I wasn't quite sure if I was actually going to edit it and put it out there. So let me know if you like this sort of thing. If you do, then I'll make more of it, but if you don't, then I won't. So I have a little bit of a new project that I picked up. I got this thing stupidly cheap, so I grabbed it just so that I could work on it. Like I said, side project, it's not going to take up much time. Well, I hope it doesn't. But let me share with you what it is. I'll show you the motor first, because what I plan to do with this is put a motorbike engine into it. So there's the motor that came out of this, and ever since I was a kid, I've wanted one of these things. In fact, I had one, but it was like homemade, and my old man paid me $10 an hour in the backyard to actually build this thing, and I ended up getting a couple of tires and made the frame, and I had to just source everything else fairly cheap, because $10 an hour when you're a kid, it's, you know, it takes a long time to get enough money to get the parts. So let me show you the rest of it. It's coming through the gate. So there's the frame. As you can see, it's a go-kart, and there's some more parts there. There's some extra tires and stuff that he's given me, and there's some more parts up there, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's like literally in pieces because I needed to get it in pieces to bring it here. But apart from that, and that seat, there is no way in hell I am gonna fit in that seat. 100 kilos and 6'2". So I sat in it to make sure it was big enough for me, and it is, barely. But hey, I'm gonna put a big engine in it, have some fun with it, maybe put some big like chunky tires on it, and it's literally like just a matter of putting it together and then just toying around with maybe putting a new motor on it. So it's something a little bit different than the Cafe Racer, I know, different to the Scrambler, but it is just a project, and it's going to be a motorbike engine, so kind of related. So this is the cart at the moment. I pretty much assembled everything. All the nuts and bolts are done up. I pretty much, you know, replaced nuts that were non-existent, made sure everything's, I guess, there. Made sure the brakes were working. I cleaned up the chain. And all I really want to do now is just try and get this thing going. So I'll have to replace that seat because I just don't fit in it. But the actual fuel hose, fuel filter, and I'm priming up the fuel at the moment. So I put 2-stroke fuel in there. All I'm doing is covering up this and then pushing the actual tires around, like just trying to get it to prime up. And it's priming up some fuel, which is good, which is a good sign. So this is going to be the first start. Let's see what happens. How I'm going to get this thing started is I do have a ratchet strap here. This is not advised. This is just the only way I can really do it without wearing myself out by push starting this thing. I don't have a starter like I said before. So I'm just going to wrap this ratchet strap around the tire, and then only enough just to get it to actually do a bit of a rotation. No more, because if I do any more than that and it does take off, then obviously the ratchet strap's going to take off with it and end up flying everywhere. Yeah! So basically what's happening is the fuel's getting to here, and it's obviously getting restricted a little bit in the actual filter, and it's not going up any higher, which means that there's a little diaphragm inside this actual carburetor, which could mean that the diaphragm's not doing its job and, you know, vibrating and bringing the fuel up and pumping it in. So that's my guess from what I know and from what I've learnt just now recently. So let's just put the kit through it and see what happens. So where I got to so far with this little project is I managed to get it started. Unfortunately, I did have the camera pretty much battery died, and I didn't realize, and it was too late after I realized. I've taken it off that little stand that I had it sitting on, and I got it running, and it revs and goes. And after I put a little kit through the carburetor, which I got from Power Republic, those guys are awesome. It gave me a filter as well, and so this thing's going. I put the seat in it, and then I sat in it, and I pushed the seat back as far as I possibly could, and my legs are like, you know, sitting up around the steering wheel. So my solution to this is to pretty much extend it. There's a flat bit of frame here, and there's also 2 flat bits where the actual engine sits under. So I cut it there and then extend it. However, by doing that is pushing the steering wheel further forward, which then will be closer to my knees. At the moment it's like sitting just above my thighs. So what I'm going to do essentially by doing that is, and this will be on an angle like that, so therefore it'll bring the steering down, or steering wheel down. So I'm just creating more problems and creating myself a lot more work. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe this is a bad idea. Really, if I try and push that seat back any further, I'm going to run into problems with the brakes, because, you know, I've only got a tiny little bit of room here where I can go, which is just not going to be enough. And then the bracketry is going to have to be changed because it's going to hit this. So it's just one thing after another, and I'm like, well, maybe it is probably too much work. And I just want to basically put a motorcycle engine in a go-kart. That was my main objective. So creating myself a whole bunch more work just so that I can fit in the thing and then do the motorbike engine just seems a bit crazy. So anyway, I'll play around with it for a bit more. I'll get everything set up, and then I might flick it. And I've got a friend of mine who actually was a little bit jealous when he found out I bought one, so he might end up grabbing it off me for what I paid for it. So yeah, that might happen, and then I'll turn around and grab another one. So I just had a quick look online. I did find another one. It is just down the road from me. It's a little bit more expensive than this, only a tiny bit, so I'll see if I can negotiate a little bit and get it down. It's not much more expensive, so it's probably worth it. Has an engine attached, it goes. It's an adult car, I know that for a fact. This one was a bit iffy when I jumped in it. I'm like, I kind of fit. Yeah, it'll be right, but it kind of wasn't. The frame on this one that I'm going to look at is a lot beefier. It's thicker. I believe it's KZ. Anyway, whatever it is, I'm pretty happy that it's going to be strong enough to hold a motorcycle engine. So I'll go and check it out. And this one is just basically a learning curve. I had a bit of fun with it, pulling apart the carburetor, getting it started, getting it running, which I will show you. I'll show you this thing running so that you can see it actually go. So I'm going to have an attempt of trying to ride this thing with my knees wrapped around the steering wheel, but I'm not going to be able to go far because it's going to hurt like hell trying to, you know, just move around in the thing. So that's where we're at. How cool is this? My neighbor just gave me this. It's my neighbor's son actually just came over, and his dad is, you know, he's sick and he couldn't come out of the house, but he used to carve these out of wood, hand carve them. And he said it's a Le Mans Formula 1 or something from back in the day. And he saw me messing around with a go-kart in the garage. And obviously he just thought I was into race cars, and he just sort of said, here, I think you might like this. So that's really cool. People are awesome. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I shot this a while ago. So there's actually a missing piece of the puzzle, which is me introducing the go-kart. So this is the one that I picked up. I have a little bit of footage of the guy riding it, which I'll put in right now. As you can see, it's a bit of a weapon, it's a bit of a beast. I'm really looking forward to diving into its actual issues that it has right now, which I will explain now. But what I actually did was I made a stand for it, purely for storage, just so I can upend it. So you can see the frame at the back there. It's got wheels on it back there. So the whole thing lifts up like this. One of the things that I just wanted to quickly have a look at, not necessarily fix right now, but I do want to see if I can address the situation, because it's pretty badly put together, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is the shifter that actually changes gears, and as you can see, there's actually wheel nuts that actually hold the bottom of it together, which I guess works, but it's extremely rough. See, there's a tech screw going straight through to actually hold the linkage that goes all the way through to the engine. And watch this. That's how much play this thing has before it even goes to actually select a gear. So, like I said, I want to address the situation because it's pretty bad. When you take it for a quick spin, it is just, you know, this is terrible. And once again, some handiwork here, just whatever they had on hand, obviously they were using to make it work. And it did work. Pretty sure it's gone through a few stages of repairs, but you know, I just want to change all this. I think that's so dodgy. I'm going to drill out that little hole to take this size 6mm pan head, and that'll go through like that. And then on the end of that, I'll have a rose head pretty much mounted to that side like that, going up in that direction, which will be 150 times better than what's already there. Like I said, it's only just temporary, just to make that selector a little bit easier to understand what gear you're in, because at the moment it's got about 10mm, 15mm of play, so you don't know where you are exactly. So it's all back and installed now. What I ended up doing was I grabbed one of these guys, which is an eye bolt stainless steel, and look at that, the hole's not even in the center of this one. That's bizarre. Anyway, so what I did was I chopped this off and welded that to the backside. You can see it just here, and welded it pretty much like that. And then this is all adjustable, so now I can adjust this if I want to. Compared to what it was before, I've tilted it out on an angle like that, and also forward. You can see it actually sits quite a lot forward compared to what it was before. It was almost upright, and that's just allowed me to have a better control over it, because I feel like before it was just, I was all crunched up, and now it's a lot more forward and in a better position. It works really well. Basically, first is forward, and then neutral, and then all the rest are just pretty much back. So it works really well. I'm really stoked with how it is. It's a lot firmer than what it was before, and it just seems to be a little bit more professional as well. And also the Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter pretty much comes down and it hits the tire every single time. So I want to address that, because it's, you know, if I can bring this lever forward more, then it'll give more of a kick, rather than just only doing like, I don't know, a quarter of a turn each time, if that. But I'm really looking forward to diving into the bracketry of the engine. It's done really dodgy, so something that I do want to address. I'll just do it in stages and bring you guys along with the journey. So that's it for this one. I have taken it for a bit of a spin. I didn't actually get any footage of it, and it is a little bit difficult because I'm quite tall and my knee is quite in the way of like selecting gears. So I may end up changing that again and making a bit of a paddle shift, just to make it a little bit easier like they do on the proper shifter carts. This is what it essentially is. It's actually called a shifter cart. The other thing which I mentioned was the Kickstarter, like it's kind of in the way where it is, so I've got to extend that. And the other thing I didn't mention was it actually has a bent axle. So that's the other thing I've got to dive into. I've got to take it out and pretty much just straighten it, put it back in again, no big drama. So just let me know if you do like this sort of thing apart from the bikes. If you do, I'll make more of it. If you don't, I won't. Anyway, have an amazing day, and I'll chat with you in the next one.